Hello, it is Jessica Weaver with another episode of Wine and Wealth Wednesdays. And with me, I have Amanda Amato. Cheers, Amanda!
Cheers.
From A&A Designs. Joining me, she's an interior decorator. And Amanda, don't you love that I found a way to bring drinking on a casual afternoon like today into work?
Absolutely.
It's amazing how creative we can get, especially in times like these.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Amanda was in our Money Empire program, and I love her work. As you can tell, she is an amazing designer based on her background alone. But during our work together, she put out a post. She feng shuied her office for money, to bring more money into her life. Because isn't it true that when you commit to getting serious with your money and to wanting to get yourself to a certain place with money, you get very creative and it kind of ripples into every aspect of your life, your home, your work, your conscious mind, your beliefs, really everything. And you took it to a whole new level by doing your office, and you had a whole testimony out. The next day you woke up, we had new customers, new clients coming to you. You got speaking engagements, you got some press interviews. So tell me about what got you even thinking that way to do this.
Sure. So I got started in feng shui a few years ago when I was really just studying design psychology and really understanding how our homes make us feel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's science behind design psychology and how our rooms have the power to make us feel a certain way. And when I discovered the feng shui, I was in love because we all know vision boards, right?
Yeah.
So when it's feng shui is like the vision board for your home. It's about setting intentions. And that's like the easiest way for me to describe it. So to bring more money into your life, it's about setting those intentions and adding things that resemble wealth and prosperity in your home. So on my desk right now, I actually have my little jade stone that says prosperity on it.
Oh.
And that's just like one little way to add prosperity into your home. It's about setting that intention. And I see that little stone every day. And while that might mean nothing to somebody else, it's important to me. And it's just a little reminder to stay focused. Oh, you got your crystals too.
Yeah. We're in sync. But that's a great point. Just the reminders to stay focused. When we're exhausted, we're stressed out. I'm just thinking of times right now. I don't know anybody who isn't anxious right now. So those reminders of, why we're going through this, why we're pushing through past these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you fell in love with the idea. You fell in love with the idea of setting intentions, which we're all about here in our community, in our programs, and the intention, living intentionally, which we go over with Gail, who's a mental organizer.
Oh, I love
She
that.
wants people to live with intention, and at home, if you set your house up a certain way, I'm guessing it flows easier. It's kind of like you're not fighting against yourself. Does that make sense to you, Amanda?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Flow is so important in an energetic standpoint and also just the function of our layout. So the home office is one example. So if the flow of your furniture is not in the right position, it's going to be really hard to work. Like if your printer is all the way on the other side of the room and the things that you need to work, it's not in arm's reach, then it's automatically breaking the function and the layout of the space, and you're probably not going to be productive. So feng shui is also very intuitive as well. So if it doesn't feel good, then it's probably not going to attract good things to you as well.
So maybe you got to try again. You can't just set it and think, okay, this is how it's going to be forever. This is the design.
Right.
And you might not know it doesn't feel good until you try something else.
Yeah, that's true.
Too. I hear that from when they don't realize how stressed they are with money till they're on the other side, right? Because you're so used to it. We're very adaptive creatures by habit. So having good flow, having things accessible to you, having reminders, what are things that you can do at home right now? Because everyone's looking from home right now. What are some ways they can bring some zen into their work and money?
Ooh, I like this question. So ways you can bring Zen into your work. Let's see. I would say it's one about setting intentions and also creating an environment that feels really good to work in as well. Especially now, we're working from home. Some people aren't even used to working from home, so that transition is quite the change, especially if you're a working mama and you have kids and you're juggling working from home and your children. So it's that transition of creating a sacred space and creating a space that feels really good. And this will look different to different individuals, but I would say in adding colors, your favorite color, of course, and adding, it doesn't get mentioned often, but sound is very important.
Ooh.
So if there's too much noise, then you can't really think clearly. And some people can't sit in silence. So you need that balance that feels very productive and energizing to you to work from home. And also another thing I would add is scent. So if you're familiar with aromatherapy, there's all different scents that actually give us energy or make us feel calm, which would be like lavender, chamomile, peppermint is another good one. So infusing your space with color, scent, music, and let's see if there's one more other tip that I can add. If you even a comfortable seat. So just the proper seating will either help you feel relaxed or more alert if you're working from your desk. And those are just a few important things that I would.
Those are good points. I never thought of interior decorating as, I just think of the visual. But you said the smell, what we're listening to, what we're hearing, touch, what we're sitting on. So my father got a desk chair that was the medicine ball, the top part of the medicine ball. And I'm looking at it and this is gonna last maybe a week because he has terrible back and there's no support. And the next time I went to visit, it was in the garage. So it's true. You want to enjoy your space while you're working. And I have one of the desks that move up and down because I need different energies depending on what activity I'm doing. If I'm creative, I like to be standing, I like to be moving. But if I'm talking to somebody, I need to be sitting so I can focus. So understanding what you like to do is important. Now, I recently moved into a new office, Amanda, and we were kind of talking about this earlier. How so many people in our community, they're moving, they might be going through a divorce, moving out of their forever home, hitting retirement, and leaving a place that they've been in for 10, 20, 30 years. And some are even in a transition period where they're going to rent for a little bit before they finalize their forever home, their retirement home. But it's hard when you're in a new place. I was just on a call with a couple in Florida. They go, they're stuck in Florida. They can't get any of their stuff here in New Jersey. They go, it's just there. There's nothing on the walls right now. It doesn't feel like home. What are some ways that they can make it feel like they're home, they're cozy, they're comfortable, but it's also something new and exciting to embrace?
So it depends if you're renting or if this is your forever home. There's different things that I could recommend. If this is a temporary place, you might not be able to have the luxury to paint your walls if your landlord doesn't want you to do that. But paint is a great way to transform your space almost immediately. If you don't have that luxury, you can add temporary items to infuse color into your space, which would be curtains or pillows, simple area rugs, but creating that sense of home, whether that is your forever home or this is just a temporary home, it's so important to have that sense of home. Our environments nourish our souls and make us feel ready for the next day. And they really take care of us when we're at home trying to relax and decompose from just a busy work day. So when we don't have that sanctuary, it really does, I don't want to say mess with our psyche, but it does have a negative impact on how we feel. So aside from color pattern, artwork is a great way to add personality and even resemble things that remind you of home. So I created this blog post. I could probably share that with you later if you want to include it, but just ways to create a sense of home that's away from home. So I have some clients who they refer to their home as their homeland, which is a completely different country, and they have moved here, and like this doesn't necessarily feel like home, but this is their home for now. So ways that I infuse that is artwork. Have a picture of a place that looks like they're back home. And like I said, scents is very important too. So candles and oil diffusers can help trigger those memories of home and make us feel like we're back home. And aside from artwork, I'm trying to think.
And none of these really cost a lot of money, which is
no,
good.
it
Nice.
doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be a big investment. The little details actually make the most impact.
So finding a few of those pieces that you just love
Mm-hmm.
and add them to the room. So, well, that's good. What about setting boundaries now that we're all home? And if you have kids at home, you have a spouse at home, maybe too. How do we create boundaries, and also so that when the workday's over, it's still not on the kitchen table, the dining, in our living space, so we're still thinking about it? Do you have any suggestions or tips for that?
Oh, that's a tough one, especially for working moms. And I think you're always going to have some sort of distraction unless you are secluded in a room where you can shut the door. Now that I'm working from home, I am running into this issue myself. So I would say communication is key. Now that I'm doing more video calls and I do the virtual consultations, I kind of announce that, okay, at 1:00, I'm going to be busy for the next hour, but after that, we can have lunch together. And it's about setting those boundaries by announcing. That's how I've been working.
So maybe time boundaries. If you can't do the space boundary, have time boundaries. Don't bother me for the next hour.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Especially since some people are working from their dining table. So it's really hard to create that boundary if you have a house that's filled with other guests and other family members. So
time boundaries, space boundaries, or just knowing you need to shut it down mentally.
Yeah.
Which is something that Gail and I talk about too. You guys go hand in hand with each other.
I'd love to talk to her.
I know. I am a believer that if we aren't mentally organized, our surroundings won't be organized.
Yes.
So no matter how much work you do to make it beautiful, Amanda, if you went back, and I wonder, if you went back to a few clients' houses a few months, few years after, what it would look like.
Mm-hmm. There is a big connection between how our mind is feeling and functioning to our environment. So for myself, I know that when I am overwhelmed and I'm having a very busy work week, or I put too much things on my plate and I'm very stressed, I see that like transition into my home, and I'll notice like piles of clothes are building up, or piles of paper just form on the kitchen counter. And my house will get chaotic, and so will my thoughts. So a big way for me to manage my and calm the thoughts of my brain is just to organize and purge and try to get back to that order. I'm definitely a type A personality. So for me, organizing just feels really good. And when I'm organized, I just feel a little more calm.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps for me at least.
Yeah, that's a good point. They do go hand in hand. And usually that's when the meltdowns hit me. If
Yeah,
I'm overwhelmed at work and then I get home and I'm overwhelmed at home, there's no retreat then.
yeah,
There's no place that you can go and kind of digest the day and be calm and have your sanctuary. If they're both a mess,
exactly. And
no.
when your home is a mess, it's like a visual to-do list. So we have our work to-do list, and then we leave our work environment to come home, and then we see laundry, then we see the dishes in the sink, and then we see like clothes on the floor or piles of paper. And you can't relax knowing that, oh, I have to do this, this, and this, and my husband's socks are on the floor. Like, it's just hard to calm down when you're staring at things to do.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's such a good point. If I can keep seeing the mess, right? If the mess is up here, like we just have to go, I see the mess, I'm not going to be able to relax until it's all done.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Our home is a sense of security. So if it doesn't feel like home or it's a mess, we don't have that sense of security at the end of the day to keep us grounded, to give us the rest we need for the next day, the next week, the next thing that we have to accomplish.
Yeah.
So starting with, and I don't know how many people tell me, my home is my sense of security. And we're big about, the financial security. You're like the sanctuary security. You need security around your sanctuary and where you're going, and for it to feel really good, like a big warm blanket. So thank you so much, Amanda. Do you have what would be your favorite design tip, idea, philosophy? I mean, I love the psychological aspect of it because it is more than just pretty things that we fill a room with. It needs to make sense. And knowing like what somebody thinks is pretty would be my taste. And chasing after what other people want to fill their house with shouldn't be my goal too.
Absolutely. I mean, I have so many tips, but I say when we elevate our living space, we're also elevating our head space, and that combines my philosophy of design psychology and feng shui and just creating intentional interiors. And although I specialize in these things, I do it in a very modern, approachable way. I feel like people get a little scared or they're nervous or unsure what feng shui is, and I do it in a modern, I take these ancient techniques and do it in a modern way that's very approachable and for today's climate.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, finding your own sanctuary, creating it, and you put together this amazing feng shui go-to guide for their home office to bring more money and also more comfort, right? And peace into their life. So make sure you grab that, and then we're all home. You might as well play around with it. If things are in your house, maybe you need new energy in your house, and that's just moving some things around, shifting some things. Furniture, mirrors, art, colors, too. I know I like to change my colors out when it's spring. I don't want to feel the holidays anymore. I don't want to feel the reds. I want nice, bright yellows and greens and blues.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And
play around with it.
even if you don't infuse your home with color, if you don't have access to going to the store or ordering things, just rearranging your space and see if you could change the layout somehow. When we spring clean, that feeling of change really influences how we feel, and it infuses us with new energy as well. So
I can see it invigorates us, right?
yeah.
We want to do more and stuff. So thank you again, Amanda from AMA Designs. Make sure you grab your feng shui cheat sheet she put together for us. And thanks for being on our Wine and Wealth episode. Cheers!
Cheers. Thank you so much.